who listens to him may have already heard this. Find out in a second. Jesus will sit on the throne of David. Yes? Everyone agrees on that? Okay. If you go back into your Old Testament, you will, I should have wrote his name down. I forgot his name. They're following the line of David. After David keeps going down. It comes to the point where one of the kings, he was the last king to sit on the throne of David, the very last one. And a curse was pronounced upon him by God. No, never again will anyone from this line of David, from any of your ancestors, ever take the throne of David again. You'll never sit on it. Okay? Which means you will never go into the temple or to Jerusalem and sit on the throne. You will never receive that authority. Who should have been the king of Jerusalem at the birth of Christ? Who was the rightful king? Joseph. Joseph was the rightful king of the throne of David. He was a rightful heir to the throne of David at the time of Christ's birth. Why wasn't he? Because you go back, that curse was pronounced. And once he came off the throne, once he died or however he lost the throne, there has never been another king to take the throne of David. Now, you may wonder, we've always taught people, Jesus had to be miraculously conceived because the seed of man is where the sin lies. Everyone is born into sin because the sin is in the seed of the man. So, and a woman only has the egg. She only has half the DNA strand. She cannot self-produce by herself, which is why Jesus' birth is miraculous. But the other reason, and this is the second reason, it could not happen. Because if Jesus had been conceived by Joseph, Jesus could have never taken the throne of David. Couldn't have happened. It was only because he was conceived outside of Joseph that he's able to do so. Now here's where it gets cool. John MacArthur, he's an impressive pastor. He really is. What did he receive from Joseph? Since it wasn't biological, but Joseph was his stepfather, which makes not of his own progeny, but Jesus was his first son. Be it stepson, was his first son. So what does Jesus receive from Joseph? He gets the throne entitlement. Because he's not of his progeny. That's true. But he is of the line of David by Mary. And because Joseph was his father, he got the right without the curse. And that's the fascinating thing about it. Is because he was not of Joseph's seed, but he was his son. He still gets the right of it. And it's a little workaround, And it's like, what kind of genius would it have taken to write that? I mean, it's so astronomically impossible that any of this stuff could happen without some kind of divine hand in it. It fits so perfectly together. And honestly, I think that should reinforce the faith of Christians. I really do. So go back to Mary now. Mary is of the line of David. So, let's look at the scriptures here. We have Matthew verse 1, start right off the bat. Matthew 1 talks about it. Matthew 1, 1 through 2, the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begat Isaac, Isaac begat Jacob, Jacob begat Judah and his brethren, so on and so forth. Okay? Let's go over to Luke 3:23. And Jesus himself, being about 30 years of age, being as was supposed the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli, Luke 3:23. Okay. This is where it gets tricky, okay? The only way to account for an entirely different sect of genealogy is that he has two parents. Now, this genealogy in Luke follows Mary's genealogy. Because of the wording during translation is where we get it's kind of tough to really get this down. But when they wrote out the scripture, when they translated it into English, Again, and Jesus himself being about 30 years of age, being, and then in parentheses, as was supposed, and parenthesis, the son of Joseph. It's trying, because back then they did not count. They didn't go out of their way to track the genealogy of the mother, because all authority and rights were passed through the father. But when they put this little as was supposed in there, in the parentheses, it was designed, and for Greek scholars, this makes more sense. When they read it in the Greek, they understand it because of how it was trying to be, what they were trying to say. And it's Greek to me, to be honest. But in English, it kind of sounds like it's like the as was supposed, just kind of threw that in there, and then it continues on with the lineage of Joseph. But that's not what they're trying to say. When it says as was supposed the son of Joseph, they were using Joseph as the marker, the identifier, but that's not who they're actually talking about. It was a roundabout way for them to say Mary without saying Mary. Why? I don't know why for the life of me. But one of the things where it comes down to, whenever you go through the rest of it, back to Matthew 1, 8, 6 through 7, and Jesse begat David the king, and David begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias. And Solomon begat Roham, and Roham begat Abiah, and Abiah begat Asa. Who was the wife of Urias? Bathsheba. Bathsheba is the wife of the man he sent to the front line to kill. Okay? That's Joseph's lineage, the stepfather of Christ. Okay? He came from Bathsheba's line. Luke 3:31, which was the son of Maliah, which was the son of Mina, which was the son of Madatha. There we go. Which was the son of Nathan, which was the son of David, which was the son of Jesse. There's two things to notice here. One, in reference to Mary's lineage, it goes from Mary back. And from Joseph, it goes from Abraham forward. It's kind of an interesting little thing there they did. And again, why they did that, I don't know. To incite confusion, it's something in the Greek translation. I don't really understand exactly why, but it's still fascinating to me that they would just do hers backwards. But basically, for the Mary portion of it, it was Nathan. David had many sons, but one of his sons was Nathan, and the other one was Solomon. Solomon was from the Bathsheba one. I'm actually not sure which wife of his was the other, was Nathan. But it does a split there. That's not something that could just be oopsed. A genealogy, when you're tracking a genealogy, do you start throwing names in there? Lee, the son of Robert, the son of Bob, the son of Fred, the son of Wilson. No. You don't start making names and just start sticking them in there because you can't remember them. If you're going to trace a genealogy, you're going to go to that extent to give a genealogy, by God, you're going to do the best you can to get that genealogy right. You will. For Joseph's, it'd be particularly easy. It'd be everyone who was in line of succession for the throne. Which consequently, same with Mary. Was one over the other? Well, the male. But if Mary had a brother, he'd had just as much right to the throne as Joseph. Well, theoretically. I'm not quite sure how that works out back then when the gene line splits off so far. But is some of that taken on faith? That the genealogy is correct? Yeah, because can I prove it? No. Can you disprove it? No. So yeah, to a degree, faith definitely comes in. It plays a hand in it. Mute button for you. But the fact that it actually, so everything is the same. The two are perfectly matched until it gets to David, and then it branches off to two sons. Jesus got the inherited right to the throne from Joseph, and the blood right to the throne from Mary. And that's the really awesome part about the way God did it. Because both are from David. It's pretty fascinating when you really stop and look at it. Because he got two entirely separate inheritances from both his parents. Even though one was because of his mother married Joseph, it doesn't change the fact that he still got the right to the throne from him. And he got the bloodline of David from Mary. So it's just one of those things that it's like, is this for historians? Will this do any good? No. This genealogy, I mean, historians can use it as a reference point to try to help find things, but can they actually go back and prove it? No, because they don't have time machines to jump back every generation to see what such and such's name is. Is there any other record of Mary's genealogy and Joseph's genealogy? I don't know, not that I know of. But if you can't prove that it's wrong, stop calling it a contradiction. Can you prove me wrong on any of this stuff? No. I mean, if you want it to be a contradiction, you will find it a contradiction somewhere. Someone told me that their soon-to-be bride is reading the Bible for the first time. She grew up her whole life a Christian, but she's reading the Bible for the first time. Anyone see a problem with that? Spent 30-some years as a Christian. Now you're an atheist, and you're reading the Bible as an atheist for the first time. Why weren't you reading the Bible all that other time? If you're a Christian and you want to know who God is, you've got to pick that Bible up. You've got to be in it daily. Hearing the Word daily. Be it a pastor, be it you have an app that reads it to you, whatever. You need to hear the Word of God daily. If the only experience you have with the Bible is what you heard on Sunday morning for 30-some years, and then you walked away from Him, you weren't having a relationship with God. You were having religion. That's all you were having. And it kind of frustrates me a little bit. You reading the Bible all the way through for the first time, which means you never picked it up in your whole life. How could you have a relationship with God, belief in God, faith in God, when you went your whole life up to this point, never cared to pick that book up until you stop believing in it? What are you going to find? Contradiction. Why? Because you're looking for contradiction. You're looking for reasons to establish that why you no longer believe in this. You're looking for reasons to say, this can't be true, God doesn't exist, because you don't want Him to be true. You don't want Him to exist. You don't care anymore. You come to the point where this is easier. It's easier to not believe in God. Of course, you never really did to begin with. Yeah, I'm one of those who's, if you don't believe in God, if you said you used to, no, you didn't. Because if you ever really knew Him, you ever really gave your life to Him, there will be no going back. My pastor's husband, he played a Christian for 30-some years. Taught every Bible study, men's Bible study, preached every Wednesday, then left his wife to go make pornography with a prostitute. Man never gave his life to God. He'd been play acting at being a Christian for 30-some odd years. And it baffles me. Like there's just no way he ever could have really truly done it. You can't know God and walk away from it. So that takes care of at least those contradictions. And we will get on to more, I'm sure, once they're presented to me. I just tried looking some up. I don't even understand half of them. I really don't. Like, they don't even make sense. Like, these people aren't speaking English. Like, their quoted contradictions are so absurd that I literally cannot figure them out, what it is they're actually trying to say is a contradiction. What about it? Okay. No, I have not gotten to it yet. Okay. Hold on. Let's be specific here, okay? God leaving the option to have a death penalty for a government to issue a death penalty means that God is not going to hold that government responsible. That does not change what Jesus said and what Jesus did. As Christians, we are to do what He did and say what He said, right? So, when Jesus, the woman who was caught in adultery, they said, we should stone her. The law of Moses says so. He says, okay, you're right. It does say that. Whoever has never sinned, cast the first stone. And they knew it was a setup. They said, well, gosh,